Every YouTuber you've watched who speaks about self-improvement might have talked to you about how everyone should like quit video games to actually 10x the progress that they have in their respected niche or whatever that they're pursuing, right? What I would like to say is if you have been a gamer for a significant period of your time, it will be kind of hard for you to get rid of this habit of gaming. So what should you do instead? Should you stop playing video games or should you stay and continue with whatever you're doing? You don't need to stop playing video games. If you have been someone who has been playing for a long period of time, it'll be very hard for you to do so. So I'll be offering you an alternative to all this stuff. And you don't need to stop playing video games. That's what I'm saying, basically. There's one thing you can do within this, though. You can start playing a specific type of video game, which will actually help you in your self-improvement rather than actually kind of diminish your progress that you make. And that type of video game is the story mode-based video games. But then there's also an argument. What about the people who are more indulging in competitive style video games like PUBG, Fortnite, Valorant and stuff? What about them? Should everyone switch playing video games like God of War, The Last of Us, The Walking Dead or whatever? Let's find out. So we are hosting a debate style or a discussion styled video where you'll see two people talking about their own specific sides where you can learn a lot from. And it'll be much more of an engaging video rather than the other ones that I make. So, okay, so no more yapping. Just let's get straight into it, yeah? Yo, what do you think about video games, bro? Bro, why are you like naked, bro? You want my shirt or something? Video games are kind of divided into two categories, right? If you think about it, there's video games like FIFA, UFC, PUBG Mobile, Fortnite and all that's belonging to the category of entertainment. And then there's games like, God of War, Uncharted, the whole series and everything that's based kind of on, like story and art form and stuff like that. So when you play through these games, it's as if you're reading a novel, right? You're going through all the stuff that's been in the story and just you're getting exposed to different experiences that actually kind of shapes you in a sense, right? So video games are kind of, divided into two categories. One is the story mode interactive games, which I talked about. And then there's like, games that are based on entertainment like Valorant and stuff. And me personally, I would side with the art styled video games, like video games that are nothing but art, because in a sense that kind of enriches your mind. I see that. And exposes you to different ideas and, history and all of that stuff that actually kind of, develops you as a person overall. And as a result, you are able to use the lessons and stuff that you learn while you play the game into your life, and it makes your life better, just like how reading a good novel does to your mind, just how it kind of changes or shapes your perspective. Like for example, you have Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, if that's how we pronounce his name. If you read that, you get a lot of insight into life, and it kind of changes the way you view life from that point onwards, right? So I feel like that's the same with me for video games. And then there's video games like, that's purely focused on entertainment and fun, like PUBG, Fortnite, and Valorant and stuff, where you don't actually get to learn anything, right? You're kind of wasting your time, and there's no value you can gain from it. And you could probably argue that there is no value to gain from such story mode interactive video games as well. But I would kind of argue because, there's a lot of value that I gain from playing these video games as well. So what would you say? Okay, so first of all, what I would like to argue is that video games are entertainment, right? Like people need some source of an outlet of escape from their stressful lives or something like that, and video games provide that, right? So basically, video games are nothing but entertainment. Also, when you play games like, Fortnite, PUBG Mobile, Valorant, it's not just about like, shooting and just entertainment and fun. You need to have developed certain skills and certain a level of mentality and ability to like build your strategies or something to actually dominate the game. So you are developing all these skills while you're actually, playing the video game. So it's not like, it's a complete waste of time. You are kind of building some certain skills within yourself that you can apply directly into real life as well. So I don't really see the point that you're making here, but I understand it though. Plus, moreover, there's like millions of people that you can connect to whilst playing these games. Like for FIFA and stuff, you can play online. PUBG Mobile, Valorant, Fortnite, they're all online games, CSGO, whatever there is. So I would like to argue back to you to say that, it isn't necessarily an unproductive thing. It's about choosing what you want within the entertainment that you would like for yourself. It's about having a purpose within entertainment. Like you might not always be learning life lessons, but competition itself teaches you skills like perseverance, resilience, and all of that stuff. So yeah, why would you spend all this time to hone your skills and your abilities on a game when you could just spend all that time for developing your real life skills just by putting yourself through harsh situations and just getting better at life in that sense. Like, sure, there's a lot of people that you're connecting with and stuff, but in the end, if you I get the point that you want to seek entertainment and that's just another outlet through that. But then why not shift to video games that actually offer some value to you and get your entertainment fill from that? You're missing the actual picture. The actual picture is that, you don't need to necessarily develop these skills by facing some harsh situations in real life. You can do the same by just playing video games. These skills get built inside of you. Like, life is complex, and games which are competitive, they actually do offer some real world value, even if they're set in a virtual world. Like, if you take the idea of honing the skill of developing strategies, like in Fortnite or PUBG Mobile, it's maybe you can argue that it's not real, but then they develop these skills within you in a virtual environment. You develop skills like critical thinking, quick adaptability, that can be directly applicable in your real life. For example, if somebody is to become a business leader who has to work under quick pressure situations, right? They can use these, skills that they would have developed by playing some competitive video games when they were young, just directly into their real world scenario, and they could, flourish or succeed. You get what I mean? And moreover, the notion that, video game skills don't translate to real world situations is like kind of outdated, because these days we also have like esports and all that has come out to be kind of trending. Like, you will see everywhere you go around, there's like a lot of streamers as well who got to become very popular because of the fact that they were very good at a game. They have developed their skills or the abilities that people are actually kind of paying for and stuff, and these people earn as much as you could probably see from any real world successful people that you might be following. So that's like my counter argument. But like, bro, not everybody gets to be an esports player though. Like, back in my PUBG days, I used to play every single day, and I used to be like, oh, I want to become an esports player. I used to play every single day, and I developed a lot of skills, and I mastered the game kind of back then, and I was like so good, winning all the main events and stuff. Not events, sorry, the scrims, the tournaments, and everything that was there. But like, do those skills translate to real life? I don't think so. Because I was kind of not failing, but like I was performing poorly in my studies. I was performing poorly in every other region of my life. I skipped out on working out. I skipped out on all these things. So what do you have to say to that? Like, bro, you're spending all these hours to build your skills and everything just to like become an esports player, whereas the chances of becoming one is so freaking rare. Why not just put all that time and effort into honing a real life ability or a skill and actually get something in return that's so valuable that you just you're like, damn. Okay, with the fact that you said about gaming, that has to do with they actually build your strategy developing skills and makes you develop your reflexes and stuff. I agree with that, but like, when you take it in real life, how does that apply? I don't understand. Also, with the stuff that you said about, all these things being the benefits of engaging in entertaining video games, like the esports focused ones, a lot of kids believe in this and they feel like, okay, this is what I have to like dedicate my life towards. And then they spend their whole days and just get nothing in return. Like, because I used to be such a kid, right? I used to spend like 6 to 7 hours on playing PUBG Mobile. And what I got from that, I didn't get anything. My physique was actually so freaked up. Then I couldn't study. I was like, basically a kind of a loser in life, right? Like, I was not excelling at any significant area in life. And what did that do for me? I was like, kind of not being at the place that I want to be, Okay, so you didn't get to be an esports player, and you're saying that, okay, there would be millions of kids around the world who don't get to be an esports player, so there's no point in playing or grinding so much in a competitive video game. Okay, so now let me bring a new perspective into this, right? You're saying that, maybe, spending all this time to develop your skills, your strategy, critical thinking abilities and everything won't technically translate to real life, and the time you spend on such a game is kind of wasted because of the fact that there's no actual end return that you get from it. Now let's view things from this perspective, right? Let's say you are someone who's so passionate about football or athletics, and you show up to training every single day, and you train, but Just the same thing that you mentioned, not everybody gets to be an athlete in the end, right? Not everybody gets to be a football player, but then people still play it, and then they learn a lot of stuff in that. They learn teamwork, they learn strategy building, how to execute plans, to show up every single day, discipline, consistency, effort, persistence. They learn a lot of these things that actually translate to some other real world, whatever you say, right? Because like the discipline to show up every day for training while you're training for a major athletic event, or while you're training for becoming a footballer or whatever, that ability, that discipline, you can use it for any other endeavor that you're pursuing. Let's say that same athlete or the same footballer is trying to study. They could be like, okay, rather than spending too much time in my mind, I should just show up every single day, and they would that's what they would do, right? So necessarily, what I just contradicted what you said. I just proved what you said wrong, which is a person can find competitive games to be fun, and the time that they spend on it to develop all these skills can actually translate to some other worldly situations or scenarios as well. Okay, man, okay. You got me with the point where you said that not every athlete gets to be, an athlete, but then the skills that they develop throughout the process of training actually applies to other areas of their life that they could excel from, right? Because they develop these skills here, so they would know how to apply them in the other regions, other parts of their life. That's where you got me, because yeah, I'm kind of speechless right now. Type shit. Regarding all this stuff. Like, I totally agree with that. The mentality that you gain from, being so driven in athletics is the same as that in video games that's focused on entertainment, fun, competitiveness, and stuff. Because you develop a mindset that could apply to the other parts of your life as well. And that is a very good point that I would, not like to let go. I would certainly like to acknowledge that fact. But the argument that I would like to make then is that, since video games like these are very entertaining and fun, it's like it induces a lot of dopamine in you, right? So it spikes it up to a certain level. Then after you play that video game, you just don't feel like, engaging in any of the real life pursuits. You just don't feel like studying. You just don't feel like doing anything that's actually, going to help you or build you in the real world. You talked about how you can translate, or you could convert those skills that you learn or develop, or the mindset that you develop, to the real world. But at the same time, your fascination in the real world gets decreased the more you play these video games, because it spikes your dopamine up to a certain level that now the new baseline is up here and not here. You just don't find the other tasks to be as interesting or engaging or something that you could pursue. Like if I sit down and play video games for all these whiles and all these hours, and now somebody tells me to like go to the gym and work out. If I find video games to be more fun, I wouldn't do that stuff. I would just skip the working out. That's how it affects every single person, right? Yeah, no, I see your point. Kids can actually get lost in that, because even when I was a kid, I was also like, spending a lot of time just like you in these video games, that I neglected the other worldly stuff that I was supposed to be focused on. But like, yeah, I feel like people should maintain a balanced life. Like they should find a way to like balance all these, habits, just escapism outlets and the work that they're supposed to be doing. Because obviously, right, you can't work all the time. You would need something to like get relief from like your stressful life. You just want a small distraction from it that actually serves you better, right? That actually rejuvenates you for the next day and stuff. So for some people it could be gaming. So that's why we are even having this conversation, right? So people need to find a balance between these things. Like you can't just blame it on them and say that, okay, entertainment or competitive video games are not supposed to be played. I know you didn't say that thing, but like, just because some people cannot balance it in their lives doesn't mean that people should actually stop playing these games. A better way to deal with this is to actually develop some routines or systems that helps you in balancing your work life with something that's actually fun as well. That actually helps you to relax and get yourself prepared for the next day mentally. Okay, balancing is key, and it helps. You should, put effort towards balancing, and then a person could, excel at all areas of their life, whilst also having an entertainment source of video games or something like that. But what I would like to say is that these video games are designed to be so addictive. There's like doctors and people who literally, research people's psychology and stuff, and then these video game developers use these, sources to actually craft their video games or create them in a certain way in which people just can't, get off of it, because, in the end, it's all about business, right? So a lot of people are hooked onto these video games. You could argue that, okay, balancing and stuff is key, but then these algorithms, the way in which these games are created are in such a way that you just can't get off of it. Not everybody can, maintain a balanced life regarding video games. So technically, it's like it's a gamble. Most of the people who are hooked onto these video games are just hooked onto it, and then they neglect the other areas of their life because of the point that I just made about dopamine and the fact that you don't find anything else interesting once you get yourself hooked onto something that releases a lot of dopamine in you, right? So that's a big factor to consider. These video games are addictive as hell. That balancing it with your life could be a very challenging task. It's also like people's attention spans and their focus and everything, kind of gets affected as well. And that's a serious concern, don't you think? Yeah, nah, shit. That's actually a problem in the society as well, like kids. Like, I got to play games around like when I was at the age of 4 and stuff. So, yeah, I was hooked onto this thing. And back then, I didn't know anything about discipline or anything, obviously, right? So, I just happened to play on and on and on and on. And now, it's like, yeah, uncontrollable access to video games can actually ruin things for people, especially those who are not that aware to like maintain disciplinary boundaries within the usage that they have within these games, right? So I believe there must be something done to actually kind of regulate the access of video games. It's due to the fact that video games are so available that people get so lost in it. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just inevitable. Maybe just restrict all the games to people above the age of 18, but then that would not be a right choice. But if we are both talking about people who are, around the age of 16, 17, 18, 19 or more, like they kind of know a thing or two about consistency, discipline, and all the self-improvement stuff that we're discussing about, then I feel like striving towards maintaining a balanced life is what they should be doing. I understand that video games is like it's very addictive in nature. Like, they made these video games just for the sake of that, so obviously it would be very addictive, right? And kids get so hooked up, there's nothing we can do about that shit. But also, there's something that we can do, we aware individuals can do, which is to place boundaries on the amount of time that we indulge in video games, and to set a mindset or a mentality or a purpose behind every time you log into the game, which is, I'm just here to have some fun, to relax for a short period of time, and then I'm going to get back to the work that I was doing. So in that sense, they would be able to maintain a balance between video games and the work that they're supposed to be doing, and they could benefit from both equally. And yeah, it would be a very fun experience in that sense. Basically, you just said what I said, that is, balancing is key or whatever. I mean, I see your point, but like when it comes to video games, right, most of the players are kids. They do not know shit about discipline. They do not know anything about balancing it with your life or anything like that, because most parents, they don't know much about video games, right? So what about them? They're like kind of lost in all of this, right? They're lost in all of this noise, and they get so affected and distracted. Their attention spans get fucked up, and they just, don't know what to do. They're like so hooked up onto this. And the reason behind why I'm bringing this out is because I used to be that kid. I used to spend hours playing Fortnite and stuff, and I just neglected all other areas of life, and supposedly it kind of affected me, in return and stuff. Like, I wanted to, learn physics. I wanted to, work on my physique. I wanted to become, an athletic, type of a kid. But like, I just didn't put any effort into those spheres of life because I was so hooked onto these video games that I just didn't know shit about discipline or balancing life with it, Like, a kid doesn't know how to do these things. It's a purpose behind choosing what entertainment somebody wants to indulge in that helps them to kind of, recover, that helps them to kind of unwind after a long, stressful day or a week or something like that. It depends on people's choice in the end. And I also see the fact that you're saying that there is more value in such type of video games that you just mentioned. and the fact that whatever argument I put up could be kind of argued with the sense that these video games are designed to be very addictive and stuff. So I would agree with everything you said, and I would believe in what you said as well. I would like to change my opinion from having believed that these competitive video games provide more value than video games which are, more focused on story and stuff, just because of the fact that, they kind of positively impact the attention span and the focus of each and every individual, and they are not made that addictive in a sense, because it gives you the feeling of reading a novel or something, right? And it's just beautiful to actually play such a video game, because I've played many video games like that in the past. So I totally agree with everything you said right there. But in the end, it depends on people's choice and the purpose behind what they want to do. You can continue playing those things which helps you in your life in that certain sense. Maybe you have less time to, in like to hone your skills or abilities, or maybe you have gone past that stage and now you just want to relax and actually, just focus on your life with a minimal distraction or something that keeps calling to you, right? Because for me, when I'm working, I keep thinking about, sometimes I keep thinking about these video games like Valorant, PUBG, Fortnite and stuff. I keep thinking about that. Maybe you won't think about that. Maybe you're like, damn, okay, I'll go home and I'll just continue with chapter 2 of on chapter 4 or something like that. And that's beautiful in itself, to be honest, like when I think about it. I see your point, the fact that people can choose the entertainment that they want to indulge in is totally valid and totally okay. Some people can find story mode games to be a better source of an entertainment, or some people can find these entertaining, fun, competitive games to be a better source of entertainment, It depends on people to people, and I totally agree with that. But my argument that I put forward first initially was that, you get more value from engaging in a video game that's based on story, that's actually based on, you can interact with it and stuff. And some examples are Last of Us, God of War, Detroit Become Human. All these games, they have something to offer to you, because it's kind of like reading a novel when you play through the game, and with your attention span and focus, you're sitting there and you're focusing on the story that's unfolding as you play. You get to play, but at the same time, there's a lot of cutscenes, there's a lot of story, there's a lot of things that you need to remember as you keep playing. So it kind of benefits you in that sense, that you get first you get experiences, you get exposed to a lot of different places and people and their culture and their way of speaking and their psychology. You learn a lot of new philosophy, you develop yourself mentally. Second, it's so valuable to you in that sense that you can just directly apply the stuff that you learn to your life. And third, it's such a rewarding experience, it's such a rewarding entertainment source, because you are kind of putting yourself at a story. You're kind of like reading a story. You're kind of, going through a story as it unfolds when you play. It's beautiful and it enriches your mind, because the mind loves to listen to stories and just loves to, play them or read through them or whatever. The mind just loves to get exposed to stories. So that's what I feel. I feel like that's a better source of that's a better source of an entertainment, a break from life when you feel like it. That actually rewards you in a sense as well. Your attention span and focus would get positively affected rather than getting negatively affected. And the dopamine spikes and stuff, bro. There were times when I was playing the Uncharted 4 and I was like so bored through the story, but I just stayed through it. Just like what happens when you're reading a novel or you're reading a textbook that you don't want to read. But then I got rewarded with something fruitful at the end of that chapter in the game, That's what I would like to say. That's what I feel like most of y'all would agree with as well. But for people who have my same insights and my same beliefs, and they want to continue playing with competitive games, as long as we maintain a balance and take self-improvement into account, like in our mind as well, and we change the mentality that we have towards playing these video games as just some fun that we are having rather than some sort of a purpose that we are delving into until you are an esports player, I feel like it's all going to be helping us in a certain sense, because such video games also help us to, build skills like strategy, development, and problem solving, quick analysis, adapting, and stuff like that. Discipline as well, just showing up every single day just to improve your skills or something like that. So it depends on a person, on people to people. But if you are, if you find it difficult to actually control your addictions or something like that, you could focus more on story mode games. Or if you don't have such a problem with that, you could make a choice between the two and see which one benefits you the most. Now it's up to the audience, it's up to you guys to actually think about what actually helps you to unwind after a long day, what actually benefits you in that sense, and what brings more value to your life. Entertainment video games, sure, you can, if somebody finds it to be a better source of you know escape or something rather than this story mode games, you could certainly engage in that. But if you are an avid pursuer of self improvement or self development, I would say that it's better. It's okay. It's better. I would say that it's better to actually play interactive video games, story mode video games, because it has more value to offer to you. The choice that you make towards the type of video game that you would like to play when you need a break from your stressful life or your tough life, just like that, just like how people find their source of escapism outlet through football or some sports or something like that, that actually relieves them and kind of makes them love their life. That choice depends on what you believe brings more value to your life. To me, what brings me more value to my life is actually, I've wanted to start reading and stuff, and I wanted to kind of work on my attention span and focus, because I've been indulging too much in like Instagram and stuff, which was like months ago. Now I've deleted Instagram for a solid few weeks now, so I don't use it anymore. But I wanted to work on these things, and the only solution that I found was to actually start reading more books and stuff, which is actually kind of entertaining, and at the same time it builds my focus and my ability to sit down, just read, and find fun from reading lines of text or something like that. And I was like, man, I have not been reading much lately, and I've not been much of a reader of like novels and stuff. When I was a kid, I just loved to read Diary of a Wimpy Kid, right? So I was like, I haven't had the practice of doing it, and I don't want to build that practice right now. Like, I've read multiple self-improvement, self-help books, but like it's not the same when it comes to fiction, right? So I don't want to sit down reading 400-page Harry Potter or something like that. So I was like, what could I do? What could I do to like work on this initiative of mine, work on something that I actually want to work on? Then I was like, okay, video games that are based on story, that are interactive as well. Story mode video games, technically. So that's what brings me more value, because it helps me to actually go through a whole story and get the same experiences as that you would get from a novel or something like that. Because I've read Crime and Punishment. Okay, I've said that, yeah, the experience that comes from like like the stuff that I talked about, how I cannot sit down and read, and that I just don't have the habit of doing that, comes from the fact that I've read a whole ass long novel, which is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. So I don't want to be doing that. And I found an alternative to doing that for people who relate to me and who haven't been much of a reader. I'm not going to ask you to sit down and start reading to actually, help boost your self-improvement, self-development progress or something like that. But what I would say is, if you find a lot of fun in video games and stuff like that, and you feel like, maybe it's kind of affecting your life negatively, maybe you're finding yourself to spend a lot more hours than you expected to, that you planned for yourself to, and you're getting so much addicted, I would say, take yourself back from that. Also, if you're feeling like your attention span and focus is getting affected by this single pursuit of yours, I would say you to like take yourself back from that, like take a small break from that, and start, if you cannot stop yourself from playing video games, start, by spending some time to just relax and play some story mode video games. And you'll start noticing the difference. You'll be more invested into a story, the attention span, the focus, everything gets developed, and the story that you're going through will expose you to a lot of experiences, a lot of people and stuff like that. You get to learn so much things that you can just directly apply to your life, and it's so beautiful in that sense, because it gives you the same benefits of reading a novel, except for the fact that you're not sitting down and reading it line by line, which actually makes you much more of a focused person, which actually boosts your ability to sit down and work by 10 times or something. But we cannot do that, right? So a way better, so an alternative for that is to indulge in such video games. That's why I had to make this whole video as well. So I hope you were able to learn something new from this video, and if you were, then make sure to comment and let me down what impact I've had on your life as well regarding this video. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. There may be multiple flaws in certain segments of this video regarding the topics that I've discussed about. So if there are topics that you want me to discuss or clear it out in the upcoming videos, just highlight that section of the video and talk about your opinion or your perspective in the comment section below. I'll certainly address it and make a whole video on that if necessary. So thank you so much for watching. I love each and every one of you. We have reached 206 subscribers so far. Really love this journey. Let's get it going. Bye bye.